Bible upon you, Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem. Blessing of the Sabbath. Barakatha Yahweh. Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Asherah. Athalanawa. Hashabath. Bashalawam. Thawada. Aman. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the Sabbath in peace. Thank you, so be it. Are y'all read? Tahayim A'ad Asherayim Akad, Psalms 121. Anya Harayim Ayanyim Ya Oh Haharim Ma'ayan Yabawa'a Isaiah Yabawa'a Mayahawa Sha'asha Shemayim Wa'arataza La'a Yanathan Lamawat Regalia Yala'a Yanawam Shashamarka Hana La'a Yanawam Wala'a Yayashun Shashuama Yasharala Yahweh Shamaya Yahweh Tazalia I'll Ya Yum Ya Yawamum Hashamash La'a Hakaya Wayarat La'a Balayala Yahweh Yashamaya Makol Rai Yashamar Napasha Yahweh Yashamar Hawalakia Wabawa'aya Ma'aitha Wa'ai Walam Bahasham Yahawasha Thawada Aman.
Psalms 121. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Shema Yashrala, hear, O Israel. Shema Yashrala, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Akkad, Shema Yashrala, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa. Yahweh, Akkad, Shema, Yashrala, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Akkad.
Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Yahweh stop a lot of the Lord's Prayer. Abiyanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwithka, Saba'ah, Ratazawanka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Ka, Bashemayim, Nathan Lanawa, Lakam, Yowum, Za, Wasalaklanawa, Kababath Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kababath Yanawa, Wala'a, Habiyah Nawa, O Nasaiwan, Abo, Hawashai Nawa, Mara, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwath, Waha'ala, Wahatha Pa'arath, La'ai Walam, Amen.
Matthew 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thy is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Amen. Ha'ashirah Matazawaf, the Ten Commandments. La'ah, Yahaya, Lakah, Alahayim, Akarim, Al-Panya, La'ah, Ta'aisha, Lakah, Paso, Wala'ah, Ta'ibadam, La'ah, Talakwaka, Shamwa, Yahweh, Alayik, Lashua, Zakar, Hayawum, Hashabath, La Kodashwa, Kabad, Abiyakar, Wa Amaka, La'ah, Daratazak, La'ah, Thana'ap, La'ah, Thaganab, La'ah, Ta'aina, Shakur, La'ah, Thakamad, Ko, Asherah, La'ra'ika, Aman.
Exodus 20, verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me, and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son nor thy daughter, thy manservant nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Shabbat, be seated. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathanawa, Par Yahagabin, Thawada Aman, La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Ath Yasha Ella. English translation: Blessed are you, Yahweh, the Most High Power, the name of Yahweh Shai, Jesus Christ, that giveth to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. To Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, with Israel. Imad wa Panyor Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem. It's your first time, sis? Oh, okay. Barakatha Yahweh, Hagadol, Rachawam, Abiyar, Wanara'ah, Aliyawan, Malak, Sho, Shemayim, Wa'aratazah, Wako, Dabarim, Chayayim, Wagum, Hamashiach, Mayahawa, Adawan Nawa, Ahab Nawa, Hapalah, Yahweh Yahweh Shai, Zakar Nawa, Yahweh, Barataza 1, Imka, Yasha'Allah, Izar Nawa, Bana, Wasap, Yasha'Allah, O, Nanawa, Yum Yun, Aitha, Kayawumyum, Makwadum, Baba Kusha, Shalat, Mayaka'Allah, Wahataza Wadat, Alahayim, La, Magunnawa, Rapanawa, Washamar, Alnawa, Ba'aikwar, Shalat, Haroka, Sho, Yahweh Shai, Lanawa, Lalamadnawa, Rabium, Kakama, Thabawana, Wada'ith, Sho, Dabarka, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Thawada, Thamyad, Iwalam, Amun. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, most high power, King of heaven and earth, and all things living, and also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahweh Shai. Remember us, Yahweh, favorably, your people Israel. Help us build and gather Israel. Most high, we beg you right now, like the days of old. Please send Michael and the righteous powers of angels to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. Mainly send the spirit of Yahweh Shai to us to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you always and forever. So be it. Repeat the Hebrew only. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the law. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, Hathawara. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us light to see. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, Awar, Lara Awath. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the ram song to call the people. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, Korun, Ha'ayo, La Korah, Ha'ain. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the olive oil to anoint Israel. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, Hashaman, Zayath, Lamashak, Yasha'Allah. Yeshabah, be seated.
Come on. Hey.
All right, Shalom, Yasha. Peace to all Israel, watching on the live stream, listening on the teleconference. Again, peace to everybody here in the school, brothers and sisters here. Thank you for the Most High Sabbath day, to be here in good spirits, good health, Most High's will, to enjoy the Sabbath day service. For those who are new, watching or listening, we are Hayashra Kanaz, which is in Hebrew, which is the congregation of Israel, where we teach the laws, statutes, and commandments found throughout the Holy Bible. All right, when we mention the Holy Bible, that deals with the Old Testament, New Testament, as well as the hidden books known to all as the Apocrypha. So we go through the dietary laws, ceremonial laws, moral laws, civil laws, history, prophecy, testimonies, so forth and so on, fruits of the Spirit, everything that we can draw out of the Most High's Bible to wean on it like a baby, like the Bible tells us. That's what we do to nurture and build us up spiritually as sons and daughters of the Most High power, right? So we go through these scriptures to bring out context to who the Most High's people are. When you read it through the scriptures, we know it to be Israel. You see it in the New Testament as the lost sheep of the house of Israel, lost because we lost who we were in the mind, in our spirit, right? We lost our identity. We lost our history. We lost our culture. We lost our heritage, right? So the Most High has given us clues and characteristics throughout the Bible to be able to determine who we are in these last days, right? So those whose forefathers on their father's side come from the lineage of those who were Negroid slaves here in America, North, Central, and South America, by way of the prophecies and the histories, are a portion of the 12 tribes of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, as well as those who were indigenous here prior to the conquistadors and Portuguese and Dutch and Spaniards coming over to the Americas, known as the North American Indians, Seminole Indians, and also the Hispanics, Arawak, Taino, right? According to the prophecies and the scriptures, you are also a portion of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, as well as those who we found in the Caribbean, right? Based on the transatlantic slave trade transport, not everybody just came over to the Americas. They also spread throughout the Caribbean, right? So again, we understand this to be reckoned based on your lineage or the seed of your father, right? Because that's how the Most High has always kept record or determining who we are as a people, to determine different nations in the earth, right? Right now, it's a lot of confusion of being 1/4 of this and a third of that. And I got 1/16 Irish and I got all this, right? And, you know, we was in slavery. So, of course, the white man did this and all that. And so we all just one big gumbo pot. Well, the Most High had his way, a method all the way dating back in the perfect law to be able to determine who people are in these last days. So this is what we do when we go through the scriptures. We try to pull out as much as we can to help further edify us in the wisdom of the Lord. So today we're going to be in the Old Testament, the book of Numbers, 15th chapter, and the 16th chapter. Well, as we do, we're going to read it in Hebrew first. We're going to read the 15th chapter in Hebrew first. Well, I will read the 15th chapter in Hebrew first, and then we're going to go through it in the English and edify. But let me read this found in the Apocrypha just to give context to why we read, because sometimes I know when we're reading, for those who are not astute in reading or understanding Hebrew, it could seem to be, you know, nice to hear, but might be a waste of time. But let me provide some context here found in the Apocrypha on prologue in Ecclesiasticus. I think it's Ecclesiasticus page 70 in the Apocrypha. Page 70, the prologue of the wisdom of Jesus, the son of Sirach. This is not the same Jesus, son of Joseph and Mary. This is a person who had the same name, Jesus or Savior, but he was the son of a man named Sirach. So I'm gonna read the prologue here to give context to when he constructed or put together the Most High Spirit to put together the Bible. This is what they came to understand. It says, whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the law. So if you're following along, and if you're in the Apocrypha, there's 2 prologues, not the first one by an uncertain author, but the second one, all right, by the wisdom of Jesus, the son of Sirach. It says, whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the law and the prophets, and by others that have followed their steps, for the which things Israel ought to be commended for learning and wisdom, and whereof not only the readers must needs become skillful themselves, but also that they desire to learn, be able to profit them which are without, both by speaking and writing, right? So keep in mind, it says they need to become skillful, right? You read it in Timothy's, right? It says that you have to be a workman that knows how to go here and there throughout the scriptures, so that you can't be ashamed. You got to know when to stop, what verse to link it up with, what one it doesn't go with, right? And that takes skill, and you develop that skill as you mature through the scriptures, starting from a baby with the milk. It says, reading on, my grandfather Jesus, when he had much given himself to the reading of the law and the prophets and other books of our fathers, and had gotten there in good judgment, was drawn also himself to write something pertaining to learning and wisdom, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn and are addicted to these things might profit much more in living according to the law, right? So this is now how Ecclesiasticus was contrived, and he did not do this of his own will, right? Because we read also in Timothy's 2 Timothy 3:16, which says all scripture comes by inspiration of the Most High, everything, right? So a man, even though he's jotting it down, a man who's now narrating what visions was given to him or what information he saw, the way in which it was written came inspired by the Most High, right? Not of his own accord. Reading on, it says, wherefore let me entreat you. This is the piece that I wanted to come to. Let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language, right? So it lets you know that there's power in speaking the Hebrew language, right? Not just in speaking of, there's different layers and levels to it, right? If we was all on one accord, if we was all in the same spirit, how beautiful would it be for us to be able to communicate in our own language? Right now we're speaking in other languages, right? But now, so we would just be able to communicate on our own powerful language. But then also, when you look at the things that's written in the law that we have now, we kind of need sometimes to revert back to the original meaning of the words. So when you look at God, God can come sometimes be a little bit vague based on context. If you don't know the context, it could become vague. So like I usually use an example in Genesis 1:26, and God said, let us. That God there is not talking about the Most High, because it said us, but the word God is used. The word God is used for the Most High God. The most God is used for the angels. The word God is used for Christ. The word God is used for man. Right? Angels is used for man, not just the celestial angels, but we are like angels. So you have to read it with favor to understand the intent that was meant. And the brothers who wrote this said, look, we're doing this as best we can, but caution yourselves. Don't just read it and run with it. Like, you got to be skillful in making sure that you go here and there to get the right words. And just don't pay attention to what people say. Like, study and go back and forth. So this is why we take the time, we do the prayers in Hebrew. When we can, we'll read the service in Hebrew, because even as the reader, I'm picking up on words that correlate to what we're going to read in English. And now it allows the edification and the context to become proper. All right. You had your hand up? Oh, okay. All right. So that's it on that. So with that being said, I'm going to read this in Hebrew. It's 41 verses. Expeditiously, but also judiciously, meaning I'm going to try to read it as fast as I can, but also making sure that I get, you know, I don't fly through things. Say again? Are you going to Hebrew one? No, we're reading in Numbers 15. So this is one of the first verses is usually always repetitive a lot of times when you're reading chapters. And the Lord speaking on Moses saying, so it says, why the bar Yahweh al mashal la amar, verse 2. The bar al bunyam yasha'ala waya amartha alham kaya taba'awa al aratiza mawa shabath yakam ashara anya nathan lakam, verse 3. Wa aishyawath al ashar la Yahweh I la or zabak lapa la. The bak, who know bak is? Sacrifice, right? So I said I stopped there because I you said the brother came here a while ago. So just when you hear the word has a meaning. Zabak, it means sacrifice. So when we get to the English, you're going to see there's a word. It's going to have to be sacrifice in there, right? Good. So picking up lapa la nadar or bana salak bana dabar or bama aidyakum la aishawath rayak nayakaka la yahawa man haba kor or man hataza on, verse 4. Wahakwa rayab hama kwa rayab Kwara Banwa La Yahawa Mana Ka Salath Aishara 1 Bala Wall Baraba Ayath Haha Yun Shaman, verse 5. Waya Yun Lana Sak Bara Ya Ayath Haha Yun Fa Sha Ayo Ha La or Laza Bak Laka Bash Ha'akad, verse 6. Or La'ayol Tha'ai Shaw Mana Ka Salath Shanya Aisha Runyam Bala Wala Basha Mun Shalashath Hahayan, verse 7. Wayayan Lana Sak Shalashath Hahayan Takwara Yab Rayak Nayakaka Layahawa, verse 8. Wakaya Aisha Bun Bakor Ila or Zabak Lapa La Nadar or Shalomyam Layahawa, verse 9. Waya Salak Wahakwara Yab Ail Bun Hakwa Salak Haba Kwar Manaka Salath Shala Shah Aisha Runyam Bala Wo Basha Mun Katazaya Hahayak Salak Hahayan, verse 10. Wayayan Thakwara Yab Lana Sak Kaza Katazaya Hahayan Ashar Rayak Naya Kaka Layahawa. All right, verse 11 now. So when it says La Yahweh, if you know I'm at the end of the verse, that's what it's unto the Lord. Here, La Yahweh, unto the Lord. That's what's at the end of that 10th verse. Say that again, La Yahweh, unto the Lord. Because when you go into these sacrifices in this chapter, it's letting you know we're doing these sacrifices for the Most High. So that at the end of certain verses, it says the same thing repetitively, unto the Lord. And as you hear me saying it in Hebrew, La Yahweh, unto the Lord or unto the Most High. La Yahweh. All right, verse 11. Kaka ya Aisha Lasha War Ha'akad or La Yo Ha'akad or Lasha Baka Bashim or Ba'izim, verse 12. Kama Sapar Ashara Tha'aishwa Kaka Tha'aishwa La'akad Kama Sapram, verse 13. Ko Ha'azarak, 13. Ha'azarak Ya'aisha Kaka Ath Oha Lahakwa Rayam Ashar Rayak Nayakaka La Yahweh. There it is, unto the Lord. Verse 14. Wakaya Yaga War Athkam Gar or Asherah Batha Wakam Lada Rathyakam Wa Aisha Ashar Royak Nanakaka La Yahweh Ka Asherah Tha Aishwa Kun Ya Aish Shah Salat Ya Aisha. Verse 15. Hakwa Ho Kakar Salat Kakwa Akath Lakam Wala Gar Hagar Hakwath Iwalam Lada Rathyakam Kakam Kagar Yahaya Lapanya Yahweh. Verse 16. Thawa Ra Akath Wama Shapat Akad Yahaya Lakam Walagar Hagar Athkam. Verse 17. Wayadabar Yahweh Al Mashar La'amar. Verse 18. Dabar Al Bunyam Yasha Allah Wa Martha Alham Baba Mar Al Ha'aratiza Asherah Anya Maba Yawa Athkam Shema. Verse 19. Wahaya Ba'akol Kam Salat Ba'akol Kam Malakath Salat Malakam Ha'aratiza Thara Yamwa Thara Wama La Yahweh. Verse 20. Ra'ash Yath Ira Sathkam Kalath Thar Yamwa Tharwa Ma Katharwa Math Garam. Okay, what's this verse? This is 20. All right, so this is dealing with the heath. Kun Thar Yamwa Athar. All right, verse 21. Mara Ashyath I Rasathyakum Thunwa La Yahweh Tharwamar Lada Rathyakam. Verse 22. Wakiyah the Shagwa Wala'ah the Aishwath all Ath Ko Hama Taza Wath Ha'oha Asherah the Bar Yahweh Al Mashah. Verse 23.
How you say commandment in Hebrew?
Commandment.
How you say it in Hebrew?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Oh, I guess you read it again. You would say it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where am I at? 22.
Okay, well here we go.
Is that what I'm at now? I lost my
You
spot.
23.
Yeah, 23, but you just read 22.
Matazawath. No. Yeah, Matazawath.
Oh, that's it?
Mm-hmm. So let me start again from 23. Ath Kol Asherah Tazawar Yahweh Al Yakum Bayad Masha Mun Hayawum Asherah Tazawar Yahweh Wahala This is 23. Henceforth. Kun. Wahala Lada Rathyakam, verse 24. It says, Wahaya Ma'ai Yanya Ha'aida Ma'ai Shatha Lashag Ga Wa Aishwa Kol Ha'aida Par Bun Bakwar Akad La'ila Lara Yak Nayakaka La Yahweh Wama Nakathwa Wana Sakwa kama shapat, washa ayar, aizyar, so like aizyam akad, laka ta'ath, verse 25. Waka par, haka hun, ayo ko, aidath, bunyan, yasha Allah, wana salak, lahum kaya, shaga, waha'awa, salak hawa'a, wahum, haba ya'awa ath, quara bunyam, salak, quara bunma, Ashawa Lapanya Yahawa Al Shagathma. Verse 26. What's that? 25. Ignorance. Shagathma. Verse 26. Wana Salak Lakol Idath Bunya Salak Bunyam Yasha Allah Wala Gar Hagar Batha Wakam Kaya Lakam Ha'ain Bashag Gar, ignorance. Verse 27. Wa'am Napash Kath Thaka Ta'a Bashaga Waha Kwara Yaba Ais Bath Shana Tha Lakata Ath, verse 28. Wakapar hakahan ayo hana pash hashagtha salak hashagath baka ta'al bashaga lapanya yahawa lakapar alyawa wana salak lawa, verse 29. Ha'aza rak Bunyam Yasha Allah Wala Gar Hagar Batha Wakam Wa Salak Thawa Ra Akath Yahaya Lakam La Aisha Bashagar. 30. Waha Napash Ashra Ta Aisha Bayad Ramah Man ha'a zarak wa man hagar ath Yahweh ha'wa'a maga bad wana kartha hana pash ha'wa'a makwarab aimwa, verse 31. Kaya the bar Yahweh bazar wa'ath mataza wathwa hapar haka rath haka Rath hana shpash ahawa'a iwa na bawa. Verse 32. Yawa bunyam yasha Allah kan bama dabar wama tazawa ayash maba salak makwa shash Aitaza yum baya wum hawa bath, verse 33. Wayakwara yabwa athwa hama tazayim athwa makwa shash Aitaza yum all masha wa all aharon. Who's Aharon? Aharon. There you go. Wa all ko ha'ai da, verse 34.
Well, excuse me. How you say Moses?
Masha.
Masha.
Aharon, Masha. What was that now?
34.
34. Kun.
So what? Say Aaron again.
Aharon. 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 You still got that Hebrew sheet that I gave that time?
Yes. That's the problem.
So verse 34. Wayana Yakwa Athwa Bama Shamar Kya La'an Parash Ma Ya'isha Lawa, verse 35. Wa Ya'amar Yahweh al Masha Mawath Yawa Math Yash Raga Wum Athwa Bunyam Kol Ha'ida Maka Wataza Lama Kana, verse 36. Wayataza Yawa Athwa Ko Ha'ida Ath Salak O Maka Wataza Lama Kana Waya Ragamwa Athwa Ba'a Bunyam Wa'amath Ka'amar Salak Ka'ashra Tazawa Yahweh Athmashah, verse 37. So 37. Wa Ya'amar Yahweh al Mashar La Amar, verse 38. Dabar al Bunyam Yasha'ala Wa Ya'amartha Alham Wa Aishwa Laham Tazaya Tazath Isle Kanapya Ba Gadyaham Lada Thumb Wana Thunwa Isle Tazaya Tazath Haka Nap Patha Yo Thakalath, verse 39. Wahaya Lakam Taza Salat La Taza Yetazath Wara Salat Waya Wara Yathum Athwa Waza Karthum Athko Matazawath Yahweh Wa El Yathum Athum Wala'a Thathawarwa Akaria Lababkam Wa Akaria Ayanyakam Ashra Athum Zunyam Akaryaham, verse 40. Lama Ain Zak Salak Taza Karwa Wa Aishyatham Athko Mataza Wathya Waha Yayathum Quadashim La Alahayam Salak La Alahayakam. So, verse 41, last verse. Anya Yahweh Alahayakam Ashara Wa Salak Hawa Taza Thea Athkam Ma'arataza Matazarian Laha Yawath Lakam La Alahayam Anya Yahweh Alahayakam.
So, I am the Lord your God. Say it in Hebrew again.
I'm the Lord your Anya Yahweh Alahayakam. Anya is I am. Like somebody says, what's my name? Anya Samak or something like that. All right. So now let's go into the English. So I didn't get your, what's your name, sis? Oh, Khadijah, you was in the class last night. Oh, okay. Good to finally meet you. You had your hand up? Well, you did have your hand up, but. All right, so let's go. So it says in Numbers 15:1. And the Lord or Yahweh spake unto Moses on Marshah, saying, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, when you become into the land of your habitations, or your dwellings, which I give unto you, and will make an offering by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering or a sacrifice in performing a vow, or in a free will offering, or in your solemn feast, to make a sweet savor unto the Lord of the herd or of the flock, right? When the Most High now allows Israel to dwell in their land, because we're still in the wilderness at this point. right? We don't get into the land until when? When do we get into the land of Israel? During the time of Joshua, right? Right after Moses dies, then you have Joshua and Caleb, who were the ones that was left after that generation. Then they're the ones who go and begin to conquer the Hamites that's there under the order of the Most High, right? That's when they went and took down Jericho, so forth and so on. But now we're still in the wilderness. So the Lord is prepping Israel and says, when you do get into the land, and you then will start to become to offer up your offerings to me, burnt offerings, offerings for your vows, your free will offerings, so forth and so on, for a sweet savor unto me, right? So when it says a sweet savor, most people just think cooking, and somebody's in there like, oh, what you cooking in there? It smell good, right? It kind of almost is that way, but it's something where the Most High is now accepting of your offering, right? It needs to be sweet. In order for it to be sweet, it needs to be right. It needs to be according to the commandment. So when you double back to, like say, starting in Leviticus, the first 4 to 6 chapters, that goes into the different offerings of the Most High and how they need to be offered to the Most High, right? So he says, listen, you're going to offer up a sweet savor unto the Lord of your herd or of your flock, right? You're not going to go and offer up an offering of your crops, right? Because that's not what the Most High says he wants to receive as a form of offering. This was the fault that we read about going back in Genesis, the 4th chapter, with Cain and Abel, right? Abel offered up of the flock, and Cain offered up from the fruit of the ground, which was not what the Most High desired or wanted. That's why it was not accepted. The Most High didn't smell a sweet savor from Cain's offering. He did from Abel's, right? So it's the same thing here. The Lord now needs to receive the things that has been offered up to him, but according to his will, right? So that he can accept it. Write down Genesis as a reference, and then I'll bring it up into the New Testament. I'll bring it up until how it now relates to us, right? Genesis 8, this goes with the 3rd verse.
Okay.
Genesis 8.
You gonna read it?
Yeah. Jack, get warm up in here. Get hot in here. Genesis 8 and 20. You know y'all got it. All right, so it says in Genesis 8 and 20, and Noah builded an altar unto the Lord and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl and offered burnt offerings on the altar, right? So again, like I referenced, when you read in Leviticus, it talks about making offerings of the herd of your flock, right, of your cattle. But then you had certain times where you had people who were poor, who couldn't offer up, who didn't have rams and bullocks and so forth and so on. So the Most High made it where they can go and offer up birds, right? And then that would be their offering to the Most High. So that's why now it says here that Noah did that. He did offerings of beasts and of fowl, but it specifies clean. Why does it specify clean?
The clean animals you guys picked out.
Okay. That's the question. That's why I'm asking. Why does it say clean here? Clean beast, clean fowl. Huh? Because it was acceptable to God. But how do you now going to what Khadijah's saying? How do you know what's clean? Huh? Somehow Noah knew. That's a good point. Somehow he knew. Because now when you look at Leviticus, we now see it's explicitly stating what's clean and what's not clean. But we're reading here about clean during the time of Noah. How would Noah have known what was clean and what was not?
God told him what kind of animals he's going to get him.
Huh?
God told him what kind of animals going to go on the ark with him.
He told him what kind of animals are going to go in the ark, but how does he know still which animals is clean? Like you have a lot of animals out here. Like if you was just here, how would you know that that one's clean and that one's not clean? Maybe by the Spirit. Whole list. Let's go to Genesis chapter 2. Go to Genesis chapter 2 and I'm going to start at 15. Yeah, read that. Con.
Genesis 2:15. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it.
Right. So who's this man is talking about? Adam. Go ahead.
And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou makes freely eat.
All right. So stop. So now just going back to that verse, and it's talking about Adam in the 15th verse, and he says he put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it, right? So when we thinking of dressing and keeping, it's just not talking about he just making sure everything is neat. It's talking about he's putting things in order, right? And how he's going to put in order, that's what we're about to get to, all right? So read it again, verse 16.
And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, every tree of the garden thou makes freely eat.
Now it says of every tree of the garden thou mayst freely eat, colon, right? So now if you just read it just literal, you would think that, oh, he's in the doggone pasture and you got apple trees, this tree, that tree. And he's like, you can just go out there and just have yourself a ball, right? But it has a colon because it's about to get a little bit more specific as to what types of trees he was talking about. Read.
But of the tree of knowledge.
Of what?
Knowledge.
Tree of knowledge. So we ain't talking about apple trees, orange trees. We dealing with what? Knowledge. Read.
Of good and evil. Thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou surely shalt die. Thou
shalt surely die, right? So now here it is. Adam was given a whole place to go and tend to and deal with. So the Most High is now coming to Adam saying, all right, I'm going to give you all these trees that you can eat. But if that tree over there that has good in it and evil in it, don't eat of that. Because if you eat of that, you're going to surely die. What did he mean by die? You're going to sin, because sin constitutes death, right? So we now see that Adam was given some knowledge from the Most High. Information was given to Adam in the beginning. This is now how we fast forward into that 4th chapter with Cain and Abel. Why did they just go start offering up offerings? Because knowledge was given to them about what to do from the Most High to their father. Right now, this passes on from Cain and Abel all down to Enoch, all the way down to Noah and his generation. So Noah and his generation understand this knowledge, because remember, the ordinance says when you're a parent, you're supposed to do what? Teach these commandments to your children, and their children teach it to their children, and then it goes on through the generations. So that's why now we jump back to Genesis 8, and now Noah is dealing with clean beasts and clean fowls, is because this information was already provided and now it's passed on down, right? All right, so we'll stop there. Go back to Genesis 8.
I have a statement.
Con, what did I stop at? 16? 17. I stopped at 17.
No, you did.
Genesis 2, I went all down to 20. No, I stopped at
no.
I'm talking about what I stopped at in Genesis 2. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make for the notes. Yeah, I read from Genesis 2, 15 to 17. And now I'm going back to Genesis 8 and 20.
What about numbers?
We're going to go back to numbers.
Where are you going at, sir?
Genesis 8.
Okay. Sorry.
20 again. You was reading, right?
And Noah built an altar unto the Lord, and took every clean beast and of every clean flower, and offer burnt offerings on the altar.
All right.
And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done.
Right. So in the beginning, the first portion of this chapter, of this verse 21, it says, and the Lord smelled a sweet savor. What made it sweet? Huh? Of God. What else? There's something specific in verse 20. Something in 20 made 21 a sweet savor because it was clean, because it was according to how the Most High wanted it to be, right? Because if Noah would have took unclean meats, right, it wouldn't have been acceptable by the Most High. It wouldn't have been a sweet savor. So it's like when you have people come next Tuesday, they're going to have their dinner for Christmas. Somebody's going to have a nice ham thing with pineapples on it, right? And then somebody's going to stand there and bless the table, right? And they want this to be accepted by the Most High. But according to what we're reading here, it had to be all clean meats on the table for it to be accepted by the Most High. You and your spirit even have to be right by the Most High for him to accept it, right? For all of that to be, like you say, agreeable. My notes, it says agreeable in the precepts or received by the Lord. So that's how when we go back to Numbers 15 and it talks about your free will offerings, your vows, your burnt offerings, all of that has to be according to how the Most High wants to receive it.
I'm just going to go back to what you said when you just came back from Genesis 2 and 15. Well, Genesis 6 and 9 says that these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just and perfect generation.
Right.
How do you know?
It was perfect and was just. Right. That's the same thing when you have people, when you talk about, being righteous. Right. He says, and a man will say, yeah, I'm living a righteous life. I'm living a good life. But according to whom? Who's the determining factor? You? Your parents? Right? Or is it the Most High? Right? Because if it's the Most High, then he has a standard that's different from you and your parents or those who are around you. Right? So we have to make sure we make the distinction to always come back to who the forerunner is, which is the Most High in Christ, and get their say so. Right? All right. So let's stop there. Go back to let's go to 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians, 2nd chapter. No, it's a lot. I'm going to still go to 2 Corinthians, but before I go there, I'm going to go to Romans. I think it's 12. Romans 12. Right. Romans, the 12th chapter. I'm start at 1. 1 is the one I want. So in Romans 12, when I read it, says, I beseech or beg ye, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service, right? So in the past, we was offering up actual rams and bullocks and goats and lambs, right? But now the Lord wants us to be a living sacrifice. Not that we're going to put ourselves on the coal, the literal actual coal, but no, we now sacrifice our bodies, ourselves, our time to do good things for the Most High, that it can be accepted of the Most High, right? So now we're the sacrifice. We're the temple. We're a lot of things that was really literal in the past in the Old Testament. Now we are figuratively embodying those things. So now we're the sacrifice, right? So now let's go to 2 Corinthians 2. Second Corinthians, the 2nd chapter. I'm gonna start at my page is right there. Yeah, in the corner. This is my old. That's my mom's. One of my mom's Bibles. That page is. All right. 2 Corinthians 2 and 14. Everybody got it? So it says, now thanks be unto God, which always causeth us to triumph in Christ, and maketh manifest the savor of his knowledge by us in every place. 15. For we are unto God a sweet savor of Christ, in them that are saved and in them that perish. Right? So here it is, the savor of his knowledge. Now we've taken it and we become a sweet savor of Christ to the Most High. The same way how that offering was, now we're the sacrifice, we become the sweet savor. How are we the sweet savor? Because we do the right things for the Most High according to knowledge. That's what it says, the savior of his knowledge. You can't get up and say that you're doing the works of the Most High without understanding what the Most High wants you to do. Right? Perception says, look at this man out there. He's feeding the homeless, right? Well, Yahushua said to go and tend to the poor, clothe them, and do certain things, right? You've done it to them, you've done it to me. But he's feeding them with a shrimp platter. One would say, that's great. That man ain't eating 3 days. But he's feeding them. Nah, but that's wrong. Who are you to say that's wrong? That's the thing about you guys, man. You see a man doing good, but according to the Most High, knowledge would have told that man, I'm going to feed him, but I'm not going to feed him with that. I got to go out there and try to find something according to his knowledge that's going to be acceptable by him. The gesture looks good, but according to knowledge, it's not. Right? That's why it says in Romans 10 and 2, for I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. You can be in church 5 days a week, right? But if you're not doing the will of the Father according to knowledge, it's not a sweet savor unto him. He's not accepting it. All right. So that ends that. Let's go back to Numbers 15. So 2 Corinthians 2, 14, 15, and also just quoted Romans 10 and 2.
We go verse 4.
Come on. You might need to turn that heat off. Maybe it's just me. Getting a little warm up here. All right, so now back in Numbers 15, we're at verse 4. It says, then shall he that offereth his offering unto the Lord bring a meat offering of 1/10 deal of flour mingled with the 4th part of an hin of oil. Right, so you had your actual real meat, right, the lamb bullock. But then when it talks about meat here, it's dealing with flour, right? Like a cake meal offering that was going to be presented to the Lord, right? I guess the easiest way to describe it is, you know, if when you go in your kitchen cabinet, you got cornmeal, right? It's not an actual full meal. It's just the meal of corn, the flour that you'll use to make certain things with, right? So in this instance, this is a meat offering, but it will still be like that flour mixture. And then you put oil with it to make a cake offering to the Most High. The water. Verse 5. And the fourth part of an hin of wine for a drink offering shalt thou prepare with the burnt offering or sacrifice for one lamb. Or for a ram thou shalt prepare for a meat offering 2/10 deals of flour mingled with the third part of an hin of oil. You can't come and bring 3/10 deals of flour, because the Most High said 2/10 deals of flour, right? It's about obedience, paying attention to detail. That's why the Lord has these things for, especially for them back then. When you had to even go make sure you had the right measure. If your measure was wrong, if it was off, it wasn't accepted. Verse 7. And for a drink offering, thou shalt offer the third part of an hin of wine for a sweet savor unto the Lord. Right? Verse 8. And when thou preparest a bullock for a burnt offering, or for a sacrifice in performing a vow, a peace offerings, it's like all peace offerings unto the Lord, then shall he bring with a bullock a meat offering of 3/10 deals of flour mingled with an hin, a half of an hin of oil. Verse 10. And thou shalt bring for a drink offering half of an hin of wine, for an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord. Right? So everything was made sweet based on following the ordinances of the Lord. Verse 11.
Would that be La Yahweh in Hebrew?
What day?
Lord. To the Lord.
Kun. Unto the Lord is La Yahweh.
Okay. All right. Go to court, I can talk to the judge.
Talk to the judge like what?
In Hebrew.
Why would you do that? Oh, okay. Verse 11. Thus shall it be done for one bullock and for one ram, or for a lamb or a kid, according to the number that ye shall prepare, so shall ye do to everyone according to their number. Verse 13. All that are born of the country shall do these things after this manner, in offering an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord. So everybody that's an Israelite that's dwelling in the land that we're going to inhabit when that time comes in the future during Joshua and Caleb's reign and then beyond, right? We're always going to follow this ordinance. It wasn't going to change, right? So consider that, right? The law of the Most High that was given to Moses, and then we started to add a little things on there, new holy days and edifications on certain things that we had within the law. That has been around since the beginning, right? From Adam's time,
Right.
and then it became more clear as we move forward. The Most High didn't have to amend the law. Right? He didn't have to change the law. Sometimes people think and say, well, those laws was way in the past. We in 2018 now, right? We need new laws. We need to adapt to the times, which would mean that you would have to accept today's rationale. That would mean that you definitely would have to change a lot of laws that's in the scriptures if you now have to conform to today. No. The Most High's law is the Most High's law, and it will still be perfect for today. Verse 14. And if a stranger should join with you, or whosoever be among you in your generations, and will offer an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord, as ye do, so he shall do. Right? So now when you read this, you got to be careful. Right? You got to be careful, because if you read it like that, it insinuates certain things. Huh? Yeah, it says a stranger. And if a stranger should join with you, right? That Or whosoever be among you in your generations, he will offer an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord, right? Or La Yahweh, right? So when you read this, we read everything up that this is what we're supposed to do. Now, if you got a Moabite there, he got to go and do the same thing like you. So when you read this, it gives you the perception that now they are as equal as us. We're going to go and offering up an offering to the Most High too, right? Because that's what we're doing. That's what they doing. But then that really doesn't put distinctions between us and them if they can just go and offer up an offering to the Most High that way. That was not how things was done. Like I said, and a few months ago when we read during Abraham's time, Abraham and I'm gonna have to look this one up. I don't remember off the top of my head. And when he was dealing with Abimelech, how you say Abimelech in Hebrew?
No, Abraham.
Abraham, Abraham. Let's see if this is what I want. Bear with me 1 second. So what I'm looking for quickly, and it's not as fun as quick, when Abraham and Sarah was journeying, they came into the quarters where Abimelech was, who was a heathen, a Hamite, and Abraham thought in his mind that I'm not going to say that that's my wife. I'm going to say that that's my sister, because if I say that that's my wife, they're going to try to kill me so they can get to my wife. But if I say that's my sister, they're going to take me in. So he did that. And then what happened, Abimelech kind of had, eyes on Sarah. The Most High came in a vision and tormented Abimelech. And then when he rose and awakened, he came to Abraham like, oh, what's going on? Why you ain't tell me this? Right? So in the conversations, what happened was Abimelech had to go to Abraham and ask Abraham to go and pray for him, right? Abimelech couldn't go pray to the Most High. He had to go ask Abraham to go and pray to the Most High for him so that he can now be taken away, that torment or that thing can be lifted off of him, right? So what that shows you is that the nations or those who are not of the Most High's chosen, they can't just go directly to the Most High. They have to go to Israel first, or one of those of that royal lineage to get to the Most High, right? So here, when we read this in Numbers, if you leave it alone, it says, oh yeah, they're just going to go offer up a sacrifice. So it's like they're going to go get their meals and they're going to get their lambs and their rams and their bullock and then go hand it over to the priests. Well, Ephraim and Judah will be like, well, they just like me. No, right? So you got to understand how the Most High classifies strangers, because sometimes we are strangers to ourselves, right? Based on things that we do or don't do. I'll give you an example from what we touched on during, I think, the Passover. Go to Exodus 12. Let's see. So Exodus 12 and 43. We have verse 14. So in Exodus 12:43, it says, and the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. But every man's servant that is bought from thereof, right? So it says no stranger is supposed to eat. So you read that, you say, okay, no, he is supposed to eat. But then it says, but every man's servant that's bought for money when he is circumcised, then he can eat thereof, right? So that means that, okay, fine. Now, if I got a heathen and I circumcise him, then now he can eat of the Passover. But consider, why would this stranger eat of the Passover that was only meant for Israel when we was in Egypt? Because now the very next verse says what? A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. So you're saying, well, yeah, you get that look like, well, wait a minute. You just said no stranger. But if I circumcise him, he can eat it. Then Mosiah, you come right back and you say a foreigner and a hired servant can't eat thereof. What's going on here, right? It would seem confusion or contradiction, right? But now it's dealing with, again, even sometimes like right now today, there's times when we had Passovers and men were in here and they were not circumcised. So you know what that man was now? He's like a stranger. Because you got to do it according to the ordinance. He can't eat now, right? He'll come around and everything else, but when it comes to that, the Most High says no uncircumcised male shall eat, right? Because now you are an outsider in this regard. So that person is like a stranger. So you know what happens? When we keep in the Passover, that brother who was a part of the congregation, guess where he's now at? On the outside, treated like a stranger or a heathen that can't come within the congregation, right? So you got to make sure we understand when the Lord put stranger in there, it's just not the New Testament that kind of gives you that vagueness of Gentiles, Greeks, this, that, and the third, and you thinking that it's talking about the nations or it's talking about us. It's even back here in the Old Testament, right? The Most High has the same thing because we were strangers, even the 11 tribes. If the Levites go into the temple to do service unto the Most High said only one tribe can do that, which was Levi. But now Ephraim comes up and says he want to go in and start making sacrifices. You're a stranger up in here. You ain't supposed to be up in here. You got to go. And the Most High classifies them as being a stranger. No stranger shall sacrifice of these things. None of them other tribes can come in here. They're like a heathen. If they do it, they'll be put to death. Right? So even we ourselves are strangers. So you will have times when you now go and you start dwelling in certain lands and you spread out. You're going to have it where all Israel ain't going to be Israel. Right? They're not going to be Israel here. They may be Israel according to the flesh, but not Israel according to the spirit. And now they come through the doors. Right? And they want to start partaking of certain things. Not really. We want you to follow the commandments, but certain things, because you're not there yet, you can't partake of. You're a stranger in this regard. Now, the reason why I say that we got to make sure we have the distinction, because even later on in the kingdom, when all the nations are going to be amongst us, right, we'll be in our glory. Go to Micah. The book of Micah, that's the Old Testament. Micah 4.
Are we going back to
Exodus. Con. Oh, 12. That's what I forgot where I was at. Con. Yeah. You can ask it right now.
So my question is, in 44, it says every manservant under the circumcised they can eat. For the highest servant, so there's a difference between a bought servant and a highest servant. A bought servant, but now you're slave.
So when you read the law, the Most High goes through. It's kind of like when you look at. I don't want to use this in a total comparison of like indentured servants, people who are now just working for a short period of time as opposed to somebody who is your slave. You look at it in that regard. We used to do the same thing where somebody, needed to come work for me, my brother. So now he's like a servant to me. He's not a slave, but he's a servant to me. Yeah. And I'll let him go after he's done his whatever his time is to get that money or repay that debt, then he goes. But as far as for someone who is a heathen, not as a slave, then you deal with them differently, right? They could not, because they can't deal with us in the manner or the Most High in the manner that we can, and it's rightfully so. It just makes sense. If our history says that the Most High delivered us, we walked through the Red Sea. Right, we ate that Passover. We put the blood on our door. No one else was doing that. That was just us. What gives us the right, or anyone the right, to say now you can eat it too? It's not their history. It's not their culture. It's ours. That has something that's directly related to us. Same thing with dwelling in tents. We was in the wilderness at that time in 40 years, dwelling in booths. So now we're going to say, okay, now the heathens are going to come and dwell with booths for us. Why? That memorial is not for them. That memorial was for the Israelites. So there's now going to be times where you will have actual heathens in the land. When you read during the time of Joshua and you move forward, because the Lord said he wasn't going to let everybody go, right? Remember that time when Joshua and them was going out, and then you had that group of Hamites that says, oh, we done came from a far place. And the men made an oath with them and said that they wasn't going to kill them. And then Joshua and them came back like, what did y'all do? These men was right from here. These are guys who was taken out. Now we can't do anything to them. So now they're going to become our hewers of wood and drawers of water, which meant servant. Push it, push it,
Push it.
push it.
Burn it. Okay, I'm gonna cry.
Right. So at that time, there was drawers of wood and drawers of water hewed. So they were servants for. We wasn't going into the temple and going into certain places with them. That was not allowed. Even fast forward, I think we brought this out even during the class last night. When you read in St. John, is it St. John 3 with the woman at the well? She knew that we didn't dwell together because that was our.
But then now that they are slaves, we can circumcise.
Circumcision was a covenant with the Most High and Abraham, right? So it's not a law that really transcends to the other nations, right? It's not something that we would identify and say, this is a token between us and them or us and the Most High. It's different, right? So we wouldn't, I would like, if I had I wouldn't say, oh, you don't know how to keep, you got to go circumcise them, because what's the an objective behind it, right? Remember, everything that we do has an intention. Anything you do has intent behind it. You brush your teeth. What's the intent behind brushing your teeth? To make your teeth clean and get the filth out. You put on your sneakers. What's the intent of putting on your sneakers? So when I walk, my feet don't hurt, right? I want to have something to protect my feet. So everything we do has an intent behind it. So when we are doing that, or if someone was to do that, what's the intent? To make them now a part of The chosen, no, it's not the case. So in that regard, it wouldn't be that we would go and do that. In this case, this is now us doing it with Israel. Remember last night when we was reading about Timotheus? We was reading about Timotheus and what had to happen. He had to be circumcised. He hadn't been circumcised his whole life. But now, he's someone who would be considered a foreigner, right? Those who was in Jerusalem, shalom, those who was in Judea looked at Timotheus and them as foreigners. So now when they come home to Jerusalem, they're now going to be accepted. They're going to see, oh, he sacrificed. All right, cool. Because if he ain't, just because you're Israelite, he ain't eating. No, about to go back home, or he going to stay on out to have this dynamic of how we had to deal with issues with us, within the nation, with people who just don't know, people who never got it done, right? And now you have to adjust. And that's why I say the Most High's law is perfect, because he's being given to us at this point, but it got to transcend time. It got to go throughout generations until generations of infinity. It just can't stick to when everybody knows it. What happens when everybody doesn't know it? How do we now deal with that? Well, the Most High has all that in the scriptures so that we can handle it, right? That's why I say it's perfect. He took the forethought to say, all right, we're putting this all in here. Remember when the men was unclean during the Passover, right? The Most High, and they came and said, what are we going to do? Keep it the next month, same day, right? So now a man had a funeral or whatever. He was, all right, you got an opportunity to keep it again. So it transcended time, all right? So now go back, jump up to Micah 4. Micah 4 and I want 4 and 5. Micah 4 and 5. But you can write down 1 to 5. Write down Micah 1 to 5, but I'm going to read verses 4 and 5. So that was Exodus 12. What did I start? 43. Now this is Micah 4, 1 to 5. So I'm going to read verses. So this is dealing with in the last days when the Most High raises up the elect, the chosen within Israel and within Mount Zion, right? Wars are going to be done away with. Everything now is going to be set up how the Most High intended it when you read back in the beginning. So now here in verse 4 it says, but they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, right? So this is figurative speaking, meaning that everybody's going to go be in their own lands, right? Following their own thing, right? It says, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Lord of hosts shall have spoken it. Nobody's going to be looking to go and conquer or invade or take over a people to make them afraid. Well, you got to be on the defense. You got to get armies and things again. It's not going to happen. Here's where I wanted to go. Verse 5, for all people will walk everyone in the name of his God. What is that talking about? Who is this here? Huh? Let me read the whole thing. For all people will walk everyone in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of the Lord our God forever and ever.
Those are people, outside people.
Huh?
Those are outside people.
Those are outside people. More clear? More clear. The what? The heathens. The Moabs and the actual heathens, right? Because this is Micah prophesying about what it will happen in the last days, which means when everything is all culminated, Christ is returned, that war has happened. Now we're set up back in our land. That's why it says every man will be under his own fig tree. You're going to be dwelling back in your own lands. Everybody's going to have their own lots or plots of land where they go dwell. Moab will be over there, Ammon will be over there, Ham will be over there. Israel will be right back in the Middle East, right back in Jerusalem and Israel, right? But now when that's going on,
we will serve the Most High power forever and ever. None of us will stray away, right? But the first part of that says, but as far as for the other people, everyone is going to walk in the name of their or his God, meaning Ammon has his God, Moab has his God, Ham has his God, Ishmael has it. They're all going to be doing that stuff. But we're going to be walking in the Most High forever and ever, right? So that shows you that even then, when we're in heaven, when we're in a perfect situation, they still going to be doing that stuff, right? So now, if that is the case, this wasn't intended when we're reading back here that they would be amongst us doing this law like that. If that's not going to happen in the kingdom, what we see happen in the kingdom is the Most High put a stipulation on them that they got to come up to our tabernacles, right? You read that in, where is that? In Zechariah? I think it's in Zechariah. Let me make sure I don't want to call out the wrong book here. Right, Zechariah 14:16. 14:16. Come. Yeah, I gave a few more. Come. So now it says in Zechariah 14:16, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So when it's all said and done, there's going to be some that's going to die in the war, right? But those that's left, that remain, right? So this is a good inclination, a good verse here when we start talking about the kingdom of heaven and salvation and who's going to be saved and this, that, and the third. Well, it's going to be nations that's going to be saved from death during that time. They're not saved to receive the glory, but they're going to be saved from death by the Most High in order to fulfill these things. It says, everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem, which came against Israel, which came against the Lord's chosen, those that's left around, it says that shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. They're not going to be keeping all the laws and everything like how we doing now, but on those days, they got to come present themselves, right? Now, why is that, right? We can't be the predominant nation. Most High can't just be the predominant power and the nations don't come pay homage, right? They got to come pay homage to the Most High. We read they're going to be still serving their own God, but they're going to have to leave that God alone and come up on the Lord the day the Most High say come, right? Which is specifically here during the tabernacles. Then it says, and it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. So that will be the curse, the plague that the Lord will put upon those heathen nations for not presenting themselves on those days that the Most High requires, right? And then it goes on, it says, and if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, and that they have no rain. So it's letting you know it's actually dealing with the nations that don't want to come present themselves. So it's, again, making a distinction between who is going to be doing the Lord's will and who is not, and what the Most High has put upon them in order for them to do.
Hey, let me ask you a question. When the Egypt and the Egyptians, would they be under like Muslims?
Would they be under Muslims?
Would they be Muslims?
Because you have Egyptians, actual Egyptians who are Christians. You got some who are Muslims. You got some who are following other type of philosophy. So, but they are Hamites by nativity, the Egyptians. But you're talking about religion. Religion spreads across through everything. You got Christians who are Moabites, some who are Muslims.
He gonna know. They go with that. So Noah, when he had his 3 sons, Jeffrey, Ham, and Shem.
Ham, Japheth, Shem.
Did Ham know about God back then?
Mm-hmm.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
So he just like forget God and went his own way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Remember, because as you read the storyline, the Most High deals with a certain progenitor. Started with Adam, right? And then we move forward. You get Seth. You move forward. You get Noah. You move forward. Then it goes to Shem, right? The Most High didn't continue to deal with Ham or Japheth. It went down to one of Noah's sons, which was Shem. Then you go down the line, and that's when you start to read about Abraham or Terah, his father, and then Abraham, right? And then it goes on down. So the Most High had a path set aside of who he was dealing with. So over time, yeah, Ham wasn't dealing with the law. Now, at the time when Ham was under his father, yes, that Ham was dealing with it because his father was dealing with it.
Right. What about Japheth?
Japheth, the same thing. Yeah. Same thing.
Only when they found him.
The same thing.
Okay.
Right? They were dwelling with Noah. They had to know about clean and unclean. But as time went on and the Most High stopped dealing with them and he went to Shem and then he went there and he went there, it only stopped with the nation of Israel. That's why you have some bits and pieces of the law of the Most High with the other nations. Sure, that's right. Why the Most High said all the way back in the beginning, the knowledge of good and evil don't eat. It didn't say it was all evil. There's some good there. You're going to go into any one of these other different cultures and philosophies and read or observe, and you're going to see that's not bad. That's all right. Why y'all got a problem with that? I ain't got a problem with that. I got a problem with that, right? So now how the ignorant person is going to be able to know to distinguish what's good and evil? It's going to be hard. So the Lord said, don't deal with that because it'll be a stumbling block for you. Just deal with the whole good. The law is good.
All good.
All good, right? So that's where the Lord wants us to force our energy towards and not over there, but we chose to go over there, right?
So the Shemites in Africa are my people.
Say again?
The Shemites in Africa are my people.
The Shemites that's in Africa is your people?
Amen.
It depends on which Shemites, because out of Shem came nations, right? Moab came out of Shem. Elam came out of Shem. We came out of Shem, right? Ishmael came out of Shem. So when you say Shemites, it has to be specific to what nation of people came out of Shem, or you saying is your people that's over there?
Okay. So that was a question that we discussed.
Okay.
Shemites,
all right.
Like a whole group.
Right.
Not,
no. This and I don't want to go too deep, but this is where Esau, Amalek, when they start talking about people are being anti-Semitic, right? Anti-Semitic. Semitic really means Shemitic, right? It really means Shemitic. But what they have done is they also come out of Shem, Esau, right? But what they have done is they've eliminated everybody else and taken it for themselves and say, if you say something against my beliefs or my culture, my religion, you're being anti-Semitic or anti-Shemitic. You're not for anyone that comes from the royal line from out of Shem. But if we were to be able to say, if a person who's knowledgeable will say, well, I'm Shemitic, so you say I'm against myself, right? Ishmael could stand up and say, hold on, you say I'm Shemitic. Elam could stand up and say, hold on, I'm Shemitic. Moab, I'm Shemitic, right? They can all stand up and say, you can't claim it for yourself, but because most people are ignorant, right? You don't know the full history. They just say, okay, no, I'm sorry, we apologize. We got to take them into consideration. No, you got to take all of them into consideration if you're saying that you're not against them. right? So that's why I said, to answer your question more specifically, you have to know what nation of people is under the lineage of Shem that you're speaking of that may be in that region. Right, we are the Shem. Right. All right. One more interesting one. Go to Leviticus. Leviticus 17. Leviticus 17. Just to put the last flavor on this. So Leviticus 17. And 15. Leviticus 17, 15. And then we're going to go to Deuteronomy 14. Bar, when you get that, if you could read that, Baruch Shah.
Leviticus 17, what?
15. Leviticus 17, 15.
What's the next?
Deuteronomy 14, 21. All right. So let's go.
All right, Leviticus 17 and 15.
Mm-hmm.
And every soul that eateth that which died of itself, or that which was torn with beasts, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger, he shall both wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even.
Mm-hmm.
Then shall he be clean.
Right. So now, if somebody eats anything that died of itself or was torn by beasts, right, that person is unclean. He got to go wash himself, right? So now the Most High is giving you a distinction of what is acceptable for us to go out there and eat. So you walking through you on the road, or you walking through the forest, and you see a deer that's laying on the ground, right? And it ain't been shot, it ain't been hunted. Some other animal done killed it. You better leave that alone, right? Like I said, this Esau sometimes has this thing where they go and they have a whole big shindig to eat roadkill, right? That's what they do. Yeah, they go barbecue it, do whatever they want. But the Most High said you're not supposed to eat. But pay close attention. The first part of the verse said, and every soul, right? Read on. Verse 16.
16. But if he wash them not, nor bathe his flesh, then he shall bear his iniquity.
Then he shall bear his what? What's iniquity? Sin, right? So again, the first part of the verse says, and every soul. Every soul means what?
Everybody.
We would think it means everybody, right? Because here it is. If every soul is the one that is talking about every nation, how is it that they're going to bear an iniquity to a law that they don't have? They don't have the law. So how can they bear a sin that they have not been taught, right? Now, let's even further put the spin on it. Now jump to Deuteronomy 14.
21.
21.
Deuteronomy 14 and 21. Ye shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself.
That's right. We just read every soul not supposed to do it, but read.
Thou shalt give it unto the stranger that is in thy gate.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, right? On one hand, because this is why I wanted to make sure that every soul. So if it was every soul, We weren't supposed to be giving it to them because they ain't supposed to eat it. But now the Lord said, you don't eat it, but give it to this type stranger that is within thy gates. Read on.
That he may eat it.
Or
thou may sell it unto an alien. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God.
Right. So now it says the reason why you can't do this because you are a separated people unto the Most High. Right? I have separated you, severed you from everybody else. Y'all don't eat it, but give it to them to eat. Right? So now this lets you know when you start reading about every soul, stranger, this, you have to make sure you understand context. Because if not, you run and it'll get totally confusing. Right? So this is not talking about everybody when it says every soul that's going to bear their iniquity. Because they know iniquity, right? They just doing it. And we're going to say, look at that doggone doe out there that died. Man, we got to get rid of this thing. Where we going to put it? Oh, snap. Look, some heathen coming. Put it in the cart. Put it in the cart. Right? Yeah. So hold on. Not only that, put it in the cart. We're going to roll it down there. Hey, y'all want some deer? Yeah. How much you got? How much you got? Right? We done found a whole doggone animal that died of itself. We ain't eating it, but we about to go sell it to them. That's what the scriptures is showing us here. Right? So the Most High wouldn't make us go and suffer sin if it's not right. He's telling us to do that, right? So that's where we got to make the distinguishing factor between strangers of the nations and strangers of our people. Every soul of our nation and every soul as it pertains to the nations, because it has those things in there, those factors in there. See, right. No. So what this is dealing with, Amalek takes this. When I mean Amalek, I'm talking about those who are so-called Jewish, whatever. They'll say, they interpret this in the meaning that you can't have meat or dairy next to each other, right? You pay attention to their customs and their culture, they separate everything. They're not going to eat a cheeseburger, right? Now, not all Amalek is not Amalek, because if you go overseas to Israel, like in Tel Aviv and all of that, everything goes, right? They'll have a cheeseburger and they'll do everything that the real Hasidics don't do. But that's what I said. They will separate everything. They'll have a refrigerator for meats and a refrigerator for dairy. They can't touch. That's not what this is talking about. What this is talking about is you can't seethe or cook an animal in its mother's milk, meaning if you pay attention to the law, the Most High says when certain offerings and sacrifices are to be given, it has to be of the first year, meaning that calf has now come off of weaning off of its mother's milk. It's developed, right? Most times you go in a restaurant and you'll see that they'll have veal and certain things. These things are like 3, 4, 5 months old, still nursing off his mother's milk. And they'll take it and then go carve it up and put it on a plate. The Most High said, no, don't do that, right? Because the animal has not fully developed. It's not going to be fully right nutritious for you, right? And then some folks will say, well, what are you talking about? It ain't going to be right. There's two things in this. One is because the Most High said so, period, right? And, if he said it is what it is. Two, when you look practically, it just makes sense, right? But most people go off the cause and effect instantaneously. You telling me I can't eat pork? I've been eating pork for 20 years. Ain't nothing happened to me. Right? Ain't nothing happened to me. So if you're trying to tell me that this is saying that, come on now. It's not, the Most High is not so specific that he's going to say as soon as you cut and eat it. No, because how is now the next person going to be able to prove themselves to the Most High just on word, just on the law? So if he sees one person eat it, he's watching them. Nothing happened. So what's going to happen? Temptation's going to come upon him and say, Well, and he's saying this tastes good. Right? But I see what it say here. I give it time. A week go by, they got a big ham on there. Now they taking that up. Right? So what happens? Satan start trying you. Man, listen, they don't know what they talking about. You need to try it first. Try it and see if it's going to do something bad to you. And then you taste it. And Satan have it tasting all savory in your mouth because you now drawn on your lust. And now what happened? You fall. So the Most High allows Satan to do these things. If it was just left up to Yahweh like that, as soon as you touch it on your tongue will evaporate and burn up. But it don't work that way. It has a place for trials and tribulations and an obstacle course for us to understand and learn. Huh?
You said if it was up to Yahweh.
If it was left up to Yahweh, he would just allow it to just be an instant learning for us to know that's not right to do. But Satan has a place for all kind of temptations. He wants you to look at it and like it. Yahweh don't. He don't want you to like it. He don't want you to be enticed by it. But this is Satan's domain. The Most High gave Satan dominion over the whole earth. So this is not Yahweh's rulership to say, stop that. No, don't do it. He's going to advise us through the word and spirit, but now he got to step back and watch you and see if you're going to do it because he said so. Satan is in your other ear saying, go ahead, Gabar. What's going to happen? Ain't nothing going to happen. Ain't nothing going to happen. Yeah. Yeah, and then you try it, right? Or you see some, like we were talking about earlier, and it's like, hey, we just read where the Most High says we're not supposed to go and give our kids to them and everything else. And then I forgot Brother Simmons on the line months ago, and he was like, so you trying to tell me it ain't no good-looking heathen women? It is. Yeah, it is. That's what they did to tempt you. So now you got all these flavorful sisters within your 12 tribes, but then you got one of these Moabites that you're looking at is like, yeah, they coming up, they starting to look like us now, right? And they're like, yeah, Satan is on his job. So what you gonna do? You gonna just bypass all these and go look at that one more? Well, I'm just saying though. Right? So yeah, it's gonna be done for us in a manner where it appeals to our lust, as opposed to drawing on the sweet savor of the Most High. So Satan has his free reign right now to do certain things, but he cannot do all that he wants to do, like what we read in Job. The Most High puts constraints on him, but he's go out there and yeah, he do his job, right? So that's why we kind of always try to side as much as we can on the things that we see happen to others in the scriptures and draw for that, right? And to be our buffer. We're like, all right, yeah, it looked good, but it ain't what it's cracked up to be. I'm gonna just stay the course, right? All right, so now let's go back to Numbers 15. Let's kind of move through this now. Numbers 15 and
15. Yeah.
15, right? So that. So I'm reading 15 and 15 again. One ordinance shall be both for you of the congregation and also for the stranger that sojourneth with you, an ordinance for forever in your generations. As ye are, so shall the stranger be before the Lord. So that's why we went into that whole thing as far as for strangers and Passovers and all of that. All right. Now, let's just say one of you does have an actual heathen. If you was back then, you had an actual stranger as a servant or whatever dwelling amongst you, right? And now they're in your authority. Do you now just say, all right, you want to do what? You want to go cook pork in your quarters? All right, go ahead and cook pork in your quarters. No, you're not allowing that because you don't want that temptation around you. You don't want that vibration around you. So they now still have to abide by your rules, and your rule is going to be in tune with the Most High, right? Let's not get that twisted to say that, well, because it's only for us and they can just go do what they want to do. That's not what that's talking about either, but it's letting us know that this is for us. And if we have any controlling authority about certain things, we're going to push that influence. But this primarily is for us, right? Reading on, verse 16. One law and one manner shall be for you and for the stranger that sojourns with you. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, when ye come into the land whither I bring you, then it shall be that when ye eat of the bread of the land, ye shall offer up an heave offering unto the Lord. Right? So when you now read other aspects of the offerings, heave offerings were special offerings that were given to the priests that they would eat. Right? Like it was something that was particular given so that they could eat at that time. It says, ye shall offer up a cake of the first of your dough for an heave offering, as ye do the heave offering of the threshing floor. So shall ye heave it. It's like being raised. When you look up the literal translation, it's like being raised or given up, right? Verse 21, it says, of the first of your dough ye shall give Lord offering in your generations. Right? So now it's about to jump into our character and how we actually act spiritually within these commandments. Verse 22. And if ye have erred, meaning sinned or done a trespass, and not observed all these commandments which the Lord hath spoken unto Moses, even all that the Lord hath commanded you by the hand of Moses, from the day that the Lord commanded Moses and henceforward among your generations. Then it shall be, if aught or any be committed by ignorance without the knowledge of the congregation, that all the congregation shall offer one bullock for a burnt offering, for a sweet savor unto the Lord, and his meat offering and his drink offering according to the manner, and one kid of the goats for a sin offering. So it says in the beginning, if aught or any be committed by ignorance without the knowledge of the congregation. So sometimes you may not know of something happening. Just in case the chance that it has happened through ignorance, they're going to say, okay, we're going to go and offer up this offering, right? To make sure that we always have some type of an atonement over the people to rid bad energy or plagues that the Most High will put upon us. Because sometimes, you know, when you think you have bad luck. That's like when Joshua and they conquered the people, and all of a sudden the Most High had it where the nation was getting with us. And it was like, yo, what happened? They didn't know that one man and his family went and took of an accursed thing. They was ignorant to that, right? So they had to go weed it all out and find that man and kill him and his family and everything to rid that plague from amongst Israel. So now sometimes, as it says here, if any commit by ignorance without the knowledge of the congregation, we don't know, then you will go and offer up a burnt offering to the Most High. Now, what this reminds me of, go to Job. Go to Job, the first chapter. Yeah. Job, the first chapter. And I'm going to start at 4. Verse 24.
Job what?
Job 1 and 4. So Job 1 and 4 says, and his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one in his day, and sit and call for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually, right? So here it is, as his sons is having their own feastings and banquets within their own quarters, Job don't know what's really going on, right? They got their sisters coming over, partaking, they having a good time. When that's all well and done, Job says, what? I'm about to go sanctify them, right? Because it may be that they have sinned or cursed God, the Most High, in their heart. Not literally just going out and cursing the Most High, but by the things that they are partaking in, it's like a curse unto the Lord, like Achan and taking of the accursed thing that the Most High said you shouldn't deal with. So Job didn't want any harm to come to his kids. So he said, well, let me go make sure that I can continue them as long as I can by making these offerings to the Most High on behalf of them, so that the Most High don't come and do damage to them, kill them or do something, right? So this was the mind state. It didn't say that they did sin. It says it may be that they sinned. Yes, to protect his kids, to make sure that, the Most High would, pardon them. Now, when I go into these chapters, and I know that there's certain camps or a camp that have used this to speak about celebration of like birthdays and certain things and things of that nature, right? But when you read the verse specifically, if it was wrong from the door, remember when you start up at the first verse, 1:1, there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. So he knows what the Most High requires. He understands that what that sweet savor is. But now when you jump down in the 5th verse, after they've done all that, it says, and it was so when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have done. If this was wrong from the gate, it was not a possibility. It was a definite. May not should be in there. It's supposed to have been, they have sinned, and I got to go make an atonement for them. What he doesn't know is while they're doing their feastings, what happened in the course or the time of that, right? He doesn't know. He's not there. That's like me. Sometimes when my kids, they going here and they going there, I'm not knowledgeable about what they do in every instance of where they're going. But in my mind, I'm thinking, I think there's a chance I know that they doggone slipped up, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pray to the Most High on behalf of them. Father, forgive their sins. Because I know we all sin, but forgive their sins for some of the things that they've done. I just know I don't want nothing bad to happen. That's what Job was doing, right? Through ignorance, they may have done certain things. That's where we tying this together, but it's mainly about the offerings that you do that happens through ignorance. Now look within yourself. Sometimes you may do certain things that's ignorantly a sin and may not be knowledgeable about it at that time. Not until we have conversations about certain things that you reflect and you be like, oh snap, yeah, I did exactly that. I didn't even realize it. I didn't realize that day was the new moon. And I'm out here shopping. I'm out here having a good time and it was the new moon. I didn't realize it. You sinned through ignorance. But you still need to go and repent and make amends with the Most High of it. It's not that the Most High is just like, oh, you know now? All right, cool. You ain't even gonna apologize? You ain't gonna say sorry? I didn't know. That's like me going and taking, you got food in the refrigerator and it's yours. And I go in there and I'm looking, I'm hungry, and I take your food and I'm eating it, but I don't know it's your food and I'm eating it. Then you come later on and you're like, yo, anybody see my food in here? And I'm listening like, I don't know what food he's talking. He was like, yeah, I had my food in the bag with this and that. I'm like, oh, that's the food I ate. Oh, I didn't know that was your food, Patak. Samak, you ate my food? Yeah, I didn't know that was yours.
But you know it wasn't yours,
though. Huh?
But you know it wasn't your food.
I know it wasn't mine, but I'm just saying it's the refrigerator. Right now, all of us go in the refrigerator. You go in the refrigerator. There's food in there that sometimes we just go warm up because that's like the neutral place. Right. But I didn't know that that is specifically for him. Right. Yeah. So now it's in the bag and I'm looking like, this is food. Hey, this is where we all come to eat. And Patak not like that. You ate my food. So now I acknowledge that I ate it. But Patak is still kind of like, hey, like, Salak, my bad. I'll make it up to you. Right. I'll make it up to you. All right, cool. That's all right. That's what's up. I apologize. And I'll make it up. So it's the same thing with the Most High. We could say, oh, I didn't know. Yeah, I partied on your day, Most High. I partied. I had a good time too. But I'm sorry for doing that. I apologize. I'm going to make it my best to always try to be particular about knowing your days so that I don't violate or trespass on your days, right? You got to have that follow-up with it because then it just means that you're just doing it just because, right? So these are now offerings that come with the ignorance that the Lord is now showing that was in the law that Israel did, right? So some are for ignorance, and we're going to read some that are presumptive. Let's go back to Numbers 15. So I read Job 1, 4 to 5, and then also verse 1. So we had Numbers 15 and 24. Mm-hmm. So it says again, then it shall be if aught or any be committed by ignorance without the knowledge of the congregation, that all the congregation shall offer one young bullock for a burnt offering, for a sweet savor unto the Lord, with his meat offering and his drink offering, according to the manner of one kid of the goats for a sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for all the congregation of the children of Israel, and it shall be forgiven them, for it is ignorance. And they shall bring their offering, a sacrifice made by fire unto the Lord, and their sin offering before the Lord for their ignorance. So this kind of like singletary, but also even for the congregation. 27. If any soul sin through ignorance, then he shall bring a she-goat of the first year for a sin offering. Remember, we were talking about don't see the goat in his mother's milk. It says a she-goat of the first year. It has to be within the first year. A year has to have gone by, and then you present this offering. And for this one, it has to be a female goat. You'll see certain offerings of a male of the first year. This one, for the sin, ignorance of sin, you got to bring a female. You can't come with a male one, right? You done sinned and you didn't know, and you want to make amends and you apologize, and then here you bring in your offering, and it's the wrong offering. That's not a sweet savor to the Most High. He ain't smelling in that one, right?
I make money off of that one. Verse before that, you said bring a kid. That's the goat.
Right.
What about earlier we read you ain't supposed to sacrifice a kid? Right?
In his mother's milk.
Okay.
Weaning off of the milk.
Okay, this is just a young goat, but it's eaten from the ground.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, because again, a lot of these things is made to be a delicacy or made to be appealing by society, right? You know, it's like a finer meat, right? It's tender, right? It tastes more succulent, right? So you see it and it's like, yeah, I got to do that if that's what they saying. I want to be a part of the group, so let me get some, right? But according to this, the Most High is like, no, it's not proper to do that, right? Allow it to be of the first year, and then you make your offering of sacrifice, or then you even eat it. Because that verse that we read that said that, it was pretty much really talking about us eating or cooking it. Don't seed it or cook it in a pot, and it ain't even been developed yet after a year. I'm gonna read 27 again. And if any soul sin through ignorance, then he shall bring a she-goat of the first year for a sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for the soul that sinneth ignorantly, when he sinneth by ignorance before Yahweh, to make an atonement for him, it shall be forgiven him, right? So the atonement is now the reconciliation between us and the Most High. That's why we have a whole holy day designated to that. But this was still done continuously so that we could sustain ourselves throughout the year. We want to make it to the holy day of the Day of Atonement, but this happens with us a lot. So the Lord put provisions in there to handle it. So it says in verse 29, "You shall have one law for him that sinneth through ignorance, both for him that is born among the children of Israel, and for the stranger that sojourneth among them." So that even gives you a little bit more clarity as to how he's delineating of stranger and strangers within Israel and those who live in Israel. It says one that's born in the land, born within your dwelling. Then you're going to have some that are living amongst the heathen, right? When he come, he's coming with probably philosophy and doctrine and things from where he got them. But when he come here, he now still has to abide by this, right? That's like you got people come from Jamaica, or they come from Buenos Aires and things. All right, fine. They do a lot of different things down there and over there. But when you come in amongst us, this is what you got to abide by, right? Verse 30. "But the soul that doeth aught presumptuously, whether he be born in the land or a stranger, the same soul reproacheth the Lord, and that soul shall be cut off from among his people," right? So this presumptuously means what? What does it mean? "But the soul that doeth aught presumptuously." Do what he want to do? It's another way of saying it. Yeah, they're not doing the law. Both of them are not doing the law, whether it's in ignorance or presumptuous, but it's trying to get a little bit more clarity what it says, that doeth aught presumptuously. Say again? Like purposefully, premeditated. It was planned, it was thought out, right? This person understood that this is what not he was supposed to do. But he said in his heart, I'm going to do it anyway, right? The Lord says that mind that has that intent, that says, I'm going to just disregard what the Lord said and do it anyway. The Lord said that soul shall be cut off from among his people. So the Lord would have required Israel to go and take him out, right? Now, of course, as time went on to the New Testament during the time of the Roman Empire, that was the period where that was taken away from us, right? We could not do that anymore, meaning capital punishment or capital murder, right? Based on sin, right? Now we were under the authority of the nations, and they now had that right. Same thing today, right? Somebody go and violate you. You can go out there and do street justice if you want to, but then you're going to have to also pay according to the justice that they want for you committing that act, good, bad, or indifferent, right? That's like the I don't know if she's actually a sister or whatever, but the young girl who was given into what do they call it when they take kids and they make them go become, say again, sex trafficking, right? The young girl who was put into sex trafficking, and then she now had this man and he's raping her. She went and got the gun and shot him and killed him, right? So now she's doing, I don't know, 40-something years. But she's like, look, I'm a young kid. I'm like 17 years old. This was self-defense. He was raping me. I needed to protect myself. In mine, that's like you would say, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. He's violating you. Right. But according to the Most High now, what we see that's going on moving forward, we don't have the right or the power to commit capital punishment. We now, based on our sin as a nation, have to go to the authority and say, look, he did this. I need you to punish him. Either throw him in jail, or if you say he's going to get the chair or the needle or whatever it is, then that be that. We lost that, right? Because we didn't follow the Lord as a whole, as a conglomerate. Now we have to follow. But here back then, the law was that if you thought about it and did it, you had to go, right? Premeditated, planned out. Planned murder. Yeah. That's why for certain people, the people who do that, when they have murder cases, that's the spectrum that they're going on, right? Right. And some of them, they have premeditated in the heat of passion, right? You came home and you walked upstairs and you opened the door and you seen this man on your wife and you went into a rage. You didn't plan it out. It was just the passion of the moment, and you went and grabbed something and boop, took him out. Right. that is not going to be as harsh as what the other one was, where he's like, I know he's been doing this. I know this guy been cheating with my wife. I know it. All right, I'm gonna get him. Right? You done planned it out. You done followed him. You see when he come home from work, when he go to the gym, everything, you setting things up in place, and then boom, you get him. Now you sitting in the chair, the defense attorney, and then now laying it all out. You knew this for 3 months. Now you did this premeditated. This was presumptive. Yeah, you went and now there's no. You could have come to us and we'd have did it. Now you know. Right.
That was planned murder.
Mm-hmm. So now let's read on. Numbers 15. We had 31. Because he have despised the word of the Lord and have broken his commandment, that soul shall be utterly be cut off. His iniquity shall be upon him. Right. So again, this is where I come to understand when we look at the law, like it tells us in Psalm 147, the Most High didn't give this law to everybody else. When you read it in the scriptures, it says Moses gave this to the children, speak unto the children of Israel. Right. This was our law. But now it says that soul shall be cut off, his iniquity shall be upon him. Right. So as we're reading about strangers and things in the chapter, be very, very careful to understand that it wasn't designating that everybody, the other nations, now that iniquity is upon them, because that would be wrong. Like, how could I now hold them accountable for something that they don't know about?
Right.
Yeah. I got a kids and I got chores for my kids. There's rules right up on the refrigerator. Do your homework, do the dishes, do this, take the dog out, blah, blah, blah. They got their friends come over, right? Now, the dishes ain't done. They do their homework, right? The dog ain't taken out. And now I'm looking at their friend like, why you ain't do the dishes? And be like, nobody told me that I was supposed to do the dishes. How am I holding them accountable for the dishes not being done? That's their thing, not mine. I'm just over here visiting, right? Yeah, that was not given to them. It was given to my kids. So they now are accountable for that. Right. They now have to be the ones to be held in account for the judgment that comes for not doing it. I can't hold them for that. They don't know, right? So it's the same thing. Verse 32. And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day, right? So now we know, the Most High is particular about resting on his day. You can write down Exodus. Write down first Exodus. Let me see if this is what I want. Right. Write down Exodus 35. And then I'm gonna go to Jeremiah. I want to give them all. I'm sorry, Exodus 35, 1 and 2. And then I'm going to go to Jeremiah 17. No, Exodus 35, 1 and 2. And then I'm going to go to Jeremiah 17, 21. Right.
Young man, back up there, young man. I appreciate it. And then you make sure I got it.
So Exodus 35 and 1. Somebody read that if you can, Baba Kushab.
35, you want to read too?
35 and 1.
And Moses gathered all the congregation of the children of Israel together and said unto them, These are the words which the Lord hath commanded that ye should do them. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day there shall be to you an holy day, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death.
Right. So the Lord has let us know back here in Exodus that work shall not be done on his day. If you do work on that day, you got to be put to death, right? You got 6 other days to do all that stuff, right? Don't do it on my day. Huh? We're going to get there. Huh? What'd you say, Oz?
At that particular time, it was.
Right. So now, let's go to Jeremiah 17. Mm-hmm.
So they know that it's in the Bible. They do it spicy. They tried to send me when I was in the city with snow. I can't work by the Sabbath. So who? I ain't gonna work. So John White. Last about 2 months. April came and he left the door for real. So they know on the Sabbath we don't supposed to work. So the money is on.
You lost your mind. You did the same thing. That's your only job that you work.
No, I didn't. And they couldn't suspend me at all because they used this Bible right here. And Mr. John White still did for them white people, and I won. Thank you. I didn't get paid. I didn't get suspended. Went back to work Monday. So I can pull that off like that. He don't do it no more. All right. Yeah, they know. Excuse me. Don't keep it real. These all know about this right here.
Oh, of course they know.
But you have to work. If not, we ain't hire you. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to read this one because I want to read it through. This is Jeremiah 17:21. It says, thus saith Yahweh, or thus saith the Lord, take heed to yourselves and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem. Neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day. Neither do ye any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day as I commanded your fathers. But they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their neck stiff, that they might not hear nor receive instruction. And it came to pass, if you diligently hearken to me, saith the Lord, to bring in no burden into the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day to do no work therein, then shall there enter into the gates of this city kings and princes sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, they and their princes, the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And this city shall remain forever. And they shall come from cities of Judah and from the places about Jerusalem and from the land of Benjamin and from the plain and from the mountains and from the south, bringing burnt offerings and sacrifices and meat offerings and incense, and bring sacrifices of praise unto the Lord, unto the house of the Lord. Right? So if you do good on the Sabbath, all this is going to happen for you. Right? But 27, if you will not hearken unto me to hallow the Sabbath day, and not to bear a burden, even entering into the gates of Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, then will I kindle a fire in the gates thereof, and it shall devour the places, the palaces of Jerusalem, and it shall not be quenched. So he gives us the good and the bad, right? If you do it, obey me and not do what you want on the Sabbath day, then I'll have it where you're going to always have surpluses coming and going within your city, within your gates. But if you go ahead and do things on the Sabbath day that I don't want to be done, I'm going to kindle a fire and it ain't going to stop. You're going to always have thorns. You're going to always have these problems because of what you continuously do within the city, within our habitation on the Sabbath. So now, as we go back to Numbers 15, this is the rule of thumb. That was Jeremiah 17:21 to 27. Come.
Like you say, you ain't supposed to do it, but like sometimes things will happen.
Right, we're gonna get there. Come, we'll get to that. So back in Numbers 15 and 32 again. It says, and while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day. And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron and unto all the congregation. So they seen him and went and grabbed, what are you doing? I'm grabbing sticks. Grabbing them and brought him back amongst the congregation, right? And they put him in ward because it was not declared what should be done to him. So he's now like in a jail, some kind of confinement that they had back then. To hold him, a holding cell. Verse 35, and the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall surely be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp, right? So now when we start looking at ignorance and presumption, the Most High now understands that this guy went out on his own. This wasn't ignorance. He didn't realize, like, sometimes that, you know, I don't know if you ever, I've been into a place before, or a circumstance where I'm working continuously, like every day for like several weeks. So by the second week, you start to lose track of days, because every day there's no distinction of you saying, okay, I'm a rest, right? I'm now, but I have to work every day. So I don't know what day is day. But in my mind, I'm going through and I'm like, all right, I'm counting the days. Oh, it's the 6th day. All right, 7th day. So now while I'm in the 7th day, I'm taking precaution for myself to not do things that I would do on the other 6 days. But by the 2nd and 3rd week, you just going and going and going. Sometimes you forget, like, oh, what's today? What day is it? Oh, snap, right? That's through ignorance. This here is presumption, because the Most High's first inclination is to do what? Put him to death. That's why we started up in the few verses when presumption was to death. Ignorance, you can get an atonement for. You can make a sacrifice for. Presumption, no, you got to go. So that's what happened to him. And then it says, stone him with stone without the camp. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody get stoned to death before. I've seen it on YouTube. Yeah. Yeah. You see that happening. It's like, yeah. Because the whole objective of that is to rid sin from out of Israel. Because you see somebody who you know now has just committed an offense. The order came from on high. He got to go. So now they take him without the camp, because they're not going to kill him within the camp. They're not going to make the camp unclean. They're going to take him outside the camp, put him somewhere, tie him up or whatever. And he right there, get y'all rocks. Everybody got it. He got a good big rock. This one got this rock. He's going to sling it. This one going to go overhead, all that. But he going to be there. He going to be there catching them. His head, everything going to start catching them. And when that stuff start hitting, and you start seeing things start cracking and things start, you be like, man, I ain't gonna do what he did. I don't want nothing like that to happen to me, right? So it's supposed to be a deterrent to make sure that you rid yourself, or you think twice before you do something presumptuously against the Most High. That's the intent. So reading on, verse 36, and all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died as the Lord commanded Moses, right? So now we understand how we now conduct ourselves in today's climate, right? The Most High ain't having us stone each other with stones no more. He'll do it another way, right? He'll do it another way. But he's gracious, because that's what the whole objective of Christ coming, to give us this time of grace and mercy, so that if you have done something, you got a time period to get it right, right? Now, the Most High dispenses measure of grace differently amongst us, right? What you may do presumptuously, I'm just saying hypothetical, if you did something presumptuous based on a temptation, he's like, man, I need me a steak from over there. I'm going to Max's, right? Now, I know I can wait, but man, look, I want to get a steak right now, right? You think you planning this out. You know the commandment, you know what the consequences are, but you do it anyway. And you go over there, you pay your money, you come home, you eating your steak, and it tastes good, right? And you sitting back and you good. Now, the Lord will wait and see if you now have repentance in your heart and then you acknowledge that was wrong, right? He's not going to probably jack you up right now. But now let's say Gabar do the exact same thing. Gabar's now, look, I want a doggone Max's cheesesteak. And he go over there. He could be second bite in, and all of a sudden, the Most High jacking him up. Now, one would look and say, well, hold on. Why he getting jacked up like that? But he didn't get jacked up like that, because you'll see testimonies like that in the scriptures, where certain individuals didn't get the same weight of a consequence as others. We don't know the heart that's in Patak compared to the heart that's in Gabar. Who knows that? The Most High. I don't know the lives of Patak like the lives of Gabar. I don't know that. Who knows that? The Most High. So he will be able to dispense measure according to how he wants to do it, right? That's why when David did what he did, he went out there and committed murder and adultery. Most High didn't kill him. One would think, man, he should have got a double whammy, like back to back, but he didn't. Right. The Lord said David was a man after my own heart. And he out there committed murder and adultery and everything else. But you got to know David's heart. You got to know David like the Most High know David. The next man that goes out there and does that, he ain't like David, but he committed the same offense. So the measure of grace and mercy is not going to be the same. We don't have that power to determine and say, oh, why you did that. No, the Lord knows us better than we know ourselves, right? He knows everything about us that we don't know, right? You don't know what you're capable of like the Most High knows what you're capable of. He'll give you the spirit. He'll give you the gift. He'll give you the wisdom when it's time for you to do it, that you don't know you can do it. So that's why we got to make sure that when we read certain things, we don't question the Most High's authority or question the Most High's decisions on certain things, because we still kind of on a lower level of knowledge. We're trying to get there. Now let's switch gears. Verse 37. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue. Right? So that's why you'll see those who follow after the customs of Israel, they'll get a garment and they'll have fringes on them. They'll have a ribbon of blue, right? Not a ribbon of green, not a ribbon of yellow, not purple, but blue, right? So again, the sweet savor of the Most High comes with following instruction, right? So now throughout our generation, what our dwellings, this was supposed to be our attire, right? You go over to Ishmael's land, you go to Moab's land, you go to certain that everybody may have their own distinctive attire, so that when you see it, you know, oh, he Korean. How you know he Korean? Look what he got on. That's what they wear. Oh, he Muslim. How you know? Look what he got on, right? So you know them just on observation. But for us, it was more than just seeing it, right? It says in verse 39, and it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you used to go a whoring. So as you wear the apparel is supposed to now become spiritual, that each fringe is symbolic of a commandment. Each one is now representative of a commandment. There's several dietary laws on here. There's several holidays on here. There's moral laws on here. Civil laws on here. That's what it's symbolic of. Now, the physical garment is supposed to transcend into the spiritual garment. Go to Revelations. Revelations. And I forgot Pathak. To give the flip side about Sabbath. I didn't
like
touch
working,
on it.
Right?
Yeah. I didn't touch on it fully like I wanted to. But Revelation 16. Revelation 16. And 15. Revelation 16, 15. Come on.
Revelation 16 and 15. He said, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keepeth his garment, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame.
Right. So this is now John the Revelator getting a forecast from Christ about what is now going to happen in the end time. right? So this is the warning that Christ is given before he returns. He says, behold, I come as a thief. I ain't back yet, but I come as a thief. I'm going to come when you don't know. You're not ready. It says, blessed is he that watcheth. First thing, you got to be paying attention what's going on, the prophecies and everything that's going on around you, right? So that you can start measuring the time. Then it says, and keepeth his garments. What does it mean when it says, and keepeth his garments? There you go, right on point. Keeping his commandments, because it's not talking about the physical garment. It's talking about the spiritual garment, right? Keeping of the commandment, because each fringe was supposed to be representative of a commandment. So you got the physical garment, but then you got the spiritual garment. This is why he says, lest he walk naked, right? Lest he walk naked. It's not talking about we over in the middle of Africa in some bush and you got people who ain't got no clothes on and he coming back for them and they ain't got no clothes on. He ain't watched. No, it's talking about us right here throughout the cities. We don't have a spiritual garment on, so we naked, and you see the shame because now somebody's able to call you out on it. What are you doing? What do you mean what I'm doing? How are you eating that? What do you, oh, man. How you observed you breaking the commandment of committing a sin or a trespass. So in order so that don't happen, you want to make sure that you always covered up. Like it tells you in Ephesians, putting on the whole armor of God, right? Putting on the whole armor to cover yourself up so that nothing can penetrate. You don't let no one come in and penetrate your armor. The armor is the commandments, right? That comes with the fruits of the spirit. So that's how now we now take what was literal and becomes now figurative and spiritual moving forward in the New Testament. All of those things that we see now in the Old Testament was hardcore physical things. The dwelling in booths and the Passover, eating the lamb, and all those was physical. Now when you see it, what it really meant, it was to prepare you. Matter of fact, go to Galatians 1 real quick. Galatians, I think 3. Galatians 3. Right. Galatians 3 and 24. So Galatians 3:24 says, wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ, that we might be justified by faith, right? So sometimes people read that verse and they think that when I read that verse, that meant, okay, we was dealing with the law, but now when I come unto Christ, I'm just dealing with faith, because the next verse says, but after faith is come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster. Right? So now you just forget about that stuff with the law and you just deal with Christ. Well, that doesn't make sense, right? Because that's not practical. We don't operate that way in our daily lives. We all went to elementary school and high school, well, most of us, right? And we had teachers that taught us your ABCs, what sciences did, certain chemicals and all this different stuff. And you learned it. But then you went and you graduated. Right? They gave you a diploma. The diploma or the person giving you the diploma is now Christ. Right? It's like, okay, you've gotten all through there. Now, it's time for you to go out in the real world. But when you go out in the real world, do you forget all the stuff that you learned when you was in school? No. You still know your math. You still know science. You still know history. You still know certain things. You're not just going to forget it. Now it becomes more practical. Now you're taking it to the next level. That's what Christ gave us. The next level, right? So we're not under the old school way of thinking. Now we're following how Christ wants us to think. Case in point. What do you say about divorce, Christ? That's what they asked him in the Bible, right? Because the law was structured a certain way. And he was like, all right, yep, you're absolutely right. Because the hardness of your hearts, the Most High had it in there where he gave you a thing to write for divorce. But I tell you this, It's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. It's about this here, right? Same thing with the Sabbath day. You seen the man picking sticks or a burden on the Sabbath day. But go to Matthew 12 now, real quick, because I said I was going to touch back on it. Go to Matthew 12. Because it now jars with what we're talking about. Matthew 12 and 1. And I'll read this. I'm going to read all the way down to 5. So Matthew 12 and 1, it says, at that time, Jesus went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were an hungered and began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat, right? But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day, right? Because they're going out on the Sabbath day. They're not at rest. Right. They're going out there plucking. They're working on the Sabbath day to get this doggone corn off the stalk. But he said unto them, have you not read what David did when he was an hungered and that they were with him? How he entered into the house of God and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them that were with him, but only for the priests. That was in the law. That was holy, separated only for the priests, right? Only for those that was doing the office of, not even just a regular Levite could go and eat that, let alone David and his men, but they was hungered. And the priest, recognizing it, gave them the showbread to eat. Right. So now, as you read that, most people just jumped over an understanding what is lawful, what is allowed lawfully for you to do that may appear to be wrong, right? So this is what Christ is referencing. Israel didn't get it. The Pharisees didn't get it. But now, through the law, now we get to Christ. And what does he do? He gives us the next level understanding. He says, or ye have not read in the law that on the Sabbath days, the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless. Hold on. It's like, what? Yeah, the priests all day long, guess what they doing? Killing, slaughtering animals, spilling blood. Now, when you read the law in other aspects, when you shed blood, you unclean. You got to be without the camp. Right. Why they not out the camp? Right? But see, we didn't think about it in this manner back then, just going through the law. We was just structured. Okay, don't do this, don't do that. Boom, 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 and we just went about it. But now we become more understanding of the law. It becomes more spiritual now. So you're like, oh yeah, the Most High told them to do it, but they do shed blood. Like when David and them was killing, they was killing people, they was shedding blood, but they had to stay away. The Levites don't got to stay away. They right there in the temple. Oh, that's deep. So you're trying to tell me for a good reason you could do that. It has to be for, oh, okay, I get it now. So now your level of understanding takes to a higher level. Let me just finish it out. And it says, but I say unto you that in this place one greater than the temple, but if you have known what this meaneth, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, you would have not condemned the guiltless. But the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath day. So it just lets you know, as you read other chapters, it's good to do good on the Sabbath day. It's good to do good when you have full understanding of the law. So now we are layering ourselves with that. You got the hardcore law, now you're getting the fruits of the Spirit with it. Now you're getting clearer understanding with it. So this is now what now is covering you. That was Matthew 12, 1 to, I think I stopped at 8. Yeah, Kawada says. All right, so did I finish that? Yeah, that was it on Revelation 16. So Revelation 16:15 just lets you know that now their garment. There's parables in the gospel about when Christ gives a parable about the wedding. Go find those and make sure they have a wedding garment on, right? And then people come to the wedding and they're like, "Where's your garment?" right? It ain't talking about he just walked in there with sweatpants on. No, he didn't have his right mind. He wasn't in the right spirit to be able to attend that function. Same thing when Christ come back. You ain't going to be able to attend the first gathering because your mind ain't right. You wasn't doing what you needed to do, right? Until you get to that point, you're not going to be accepted as a sweet savor to the Lord. All right, so let's go back to Numbers 15. We're almost at the end. So we have verse 40. It says that ye may remember and do all my commandments and be holy unto your God. Remember, the word holy means separate. Saint is separate, right? From everyone else. And what separated us? God. But what did he do to separate us from everybody? The commandments, right? The commandments, by the giving of the commandments. And now those commandments have instructions that we do that no one else does. That now separated us from everybody else. Verse 41. I am the Lord your power, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt to be your power. I am the Lord your God, or power, right? So, it's when you read verses like that, it seems very light, but it's heavy to understand certain people. And he's telling them, I am your God. I'm your God. I took you from those people over there because I'm your God. I'm not their God. I'm your God, right? So I want you to be holy, to be different from them, right? But again, as you read throughout the scriptures and even get into the New Testament, that's kind of where now it should become more clear when you put everything in its proper place. All right, so that concludes the first half, Numbers 15. It's about 1:50. We're going to take a pause or break to go stretch our legs, get something to eat, drink. Remember it's the Sabbath still, no cooking, no kindling of a fire. Right. And then we'll come back and we'll finish the 16th chapter. 16th chapter, I think, is a little bit more judicious. It's a storyline. It's not so much commandments to go through, but we'll go through it and it should be good. All right, so we'll come back around 2:30.